welcome back to Burkeshire Farm. My name is Jackie, and today I am doing a collaboration called Noodle November. Noodle November is being organized by Tony at Kettle Kitchen. So today what I thought I would do is a noodle dinner that would be very easy for a busy mom, a busy dad, somebody who's just needs to put dinner on the table fairly quickly and with just a few simple ingredients. This is one of Frank and mine easy dinners that we like to do. It's called Mexican pasta. Sounds kind of funny, but give it a chance because it actually is really good. Now this recipe I'm going to double, and I'm going to double it because it freezes well also. So what we do is, it's just Frank and I make enough for, of course, our dinner tonight. And then there should be enough left for me to divide into 2 other dinners and then put it in the freezer. Therefore, on those nights when either we're busy working on the farm or we're both working and we work late, we just pull one out in the morning, have it sitting in the refrigerator as it thaws. At night, we can either pop it in the oven or pop it in the microwave, whichever we feel, and then we have a quick, good meal. Now I'm making this a really simple way. This recipe you can adapt to however you want, but I'm trying to make it really simple so that those of us who sometimes just get so busy, we can throw this together. I'm making it actually in the Instapot. You can do it on the stove. It is a 1-pot meal that you can do on the stove, but I love my Instapot. I have 3 of them actually. The only one I don't have is the small one, and I want to get that one. Never needed it because we had so many kids in the house, but now that it's just Frank and I thought, you know, maybe we could get a little smaller one, so if we just want to do a small meal, we can do that in the Instapot, but we'll see. Anyways, what we're going to start with today is turning our Instapot on sauté. Oops. Almost lost our salt and pepper. So I'm going to turn it on sauté. It's going to get really warm. And like I said, I'm doubling this recipe. I will have the recipe down below as a single recipe, but everything's going to be twice as much. So instead of 1 pound of ground beef, I'm going to use 2 pounds of ground beef. I'm going to place it in the Instapot. I'm going to break it up a little bit. And then we're just going to cook it right in here. I'm also going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. Really, salt and pepper, I always feel it's up to the person who's cooking. Some people like a lot of salt, some people like just a little bit. In our family, I like just a little bit. Frank likes a whole lot. So I just use a little bit, and I like to put it in the meat so that it helps flavor up the meat. We're just going to sprinkle that right on in there. And it's going to pretty soon start simmering and cooking down. Now the thing about the Instapot, when you're sauteing, is sometimes it will get really hot, and it'll even say hot on here. When that happens, I usually either will lift the pot out to let it cool down, or I turn it off for just a minute and then turn the Instapot back on, because if you leave it on hot, it's going to start burning at the bottom of the pot. And as soon as this is all nice and brown, I'll bring you on back. So it's been about 5 minutes, and you can see the meat has all browned, but there's a lot of fat in the bottom of it, and I want to get rid of that. This particular hamburger was $85.15, and you can use the less fat. This particular hamburger, however, was on sale, so that's what I bought. So let's go ahead and drain this fat. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the sauté. And I'm going to lift the pot out over here. Then I'm just going to come in here and get rid of some of this fat that has cooked down out of the hamburger. All right, we have that all drained out now. Now, if you're not a ground beef person and you'd rather do like ground turkey or ground chicken to eliminate some of that fat that cooks out of the meat, this would definitely work with that also. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take our homemade Mexican spice. This Mexican spice, it has cumin, paprika, cayenne pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, and chili powder in it. I'll leave the recipe down below if you're interested in making it. To us, this is so much better than those pre-packaged stuff because we have control over how much we want to put in it. So what I want to do is put that right on in and stir it around so it's all incorporated in the meat. And the Instant Pot, even though it's not on saute anymore, it is really still hot. And so it's kind of toasting some of those spices that we put in there while it's being mixed in with the meat. Toasting your spices helps bring out some of the oils that are in some of the spices, and it also brings out the flavors. And next, I'm going to add the noodles. And I always like to use the little Corkscrew noodles, and this is the whole wheat. They also have the tricolor. Tricolor is kind of fun when you have kids. The kids like the different colors and stuff. But Frank and I, we usually just use the whole wheat. Just dump that in. I'm gonna level it out here. Then I'm going to take 4 cups of water, and I'm going to pour it over the noodles, and I want enough water to just barely cover the noodles. So it looks like we do have to add just a little bit of water, not much, just a little bit. All right, let's see, let's go ahead and add just a little bit more, just so that it just barely covers the noodles. There we go. There's 1 or 2 popping up here or there, but that's all right. There we go. All right, so you can see that the water is just barely covering the noodles. Then the next thing we do, put our lid on. All the Instant Pots have preset buttons. I really don't use a lot of the preset buttons. The one I usually use is just the pressure cook, and then I adjust the times and everything to what I want. So I'm gonna press that pressure cook button, and then I'm going to make sure that it's on normal. There we go. And I'm gonna make sure that the pressure is on low, because if you have it on high, I have found that it overcooks the pasta. And then what I'm going to do is bring this down to 4 minutes. Okay, now back up to 4 minutes. So we have 4 minutes, low pressure, on normal. And then also make sure that your little knob is on sealing, because if you don't, the Instant Pot will not pressurize. We're gonna go ahead, once it does pressurize, 4 minutes is gonna show up on the little screen here. It's gonna cook down to 4 minutes. Once it hits that point, we're gonna put it on venting. The steam will come out and we'll be able to take that lid off. So we'll see you back in just a second for when we start venting. All right, so the timer went off for 3 minutes, and now I'm going to put the little knob here on venting. Be very careful, because as soon as you turn that to venting, it's going to shoot steam out and it could burn you. Whenever I have it on a cabinet, countertop or something like that, I'll usually put a towel over it so that that steam isn't going up into the cabinet. But right now, it's kind of out in the open here, so I'm just letting it go. Once the little red button over here, I don't think you can see it, but once there's a little red button here, once that little red button goes down, then we'll be able to open the Instapot. All right, the little red button just fell down, and now we can twist the lid. When taking this lid off, make sure that you don't take the lid off away from you, because you're going to be then stretching your arm over that hot steam and your face will be closer to it. So what I always do is just open it the other direction and let all that steam come out. Beautiful. All right, you can see in here that the noodles are now all cooked. I'm just going to stir it around here. Mix all the meat and the sauce. And then the last thing we have to do is put the cheese in. Next, what we're going to do is add 2 cups of shredded cheese. Now, I normally like to get the brick cheese. The brick cheese is a little less expensive than the pre-shredded cheese. Plus, the pre-shredded cheese has a powder substance that they put in it so that the cheese doesn't cake together. The problem with that is the powder will sometimes not allow the cheese to melt as easily as the cheese that you pre-shred. The pre-shred melts just absolutely gorgeous. But I'm trying to make this as easy and simple for those busy moms and dads, so I got the pre-shredded stuff, and all I do is dump it right on it. Then what we're gonna do is stir, and you can see it actually didn't necessarily work because there's a huge clump right there, so that didn't necessarily do 100% job. But stirring in this cheese, the first thing it's going to do is, if you noticed before, there was some liquid in the bottom. It's going to help kind of make that liquid into kind of like a sauce or a gravy. You just stir it around real good until it's all nice and melty. There we go. That looks fantastic. Oh, there's that big chunk of cheese that didn't come apart. There we go. All right. Now what we're going to do is a little taste test. There we go. At this point in time, this is when you can add other things to it to kind of liven it up or spice it up. To me, I love it just like this. And Frank and I, we a lot of times just eat it like this, because put it on the table, eat it, maybe with a little bit of bread or something. Let's add a little more carb. We already have the noodle carb. Let's go ahead and add some bread carb. Yay, love carbs. But anyways, we can eat just like this. But sometimes we might add a little fresh tomatoes, might add a little green onions, sour cream. Sometimes add even more cheese if you want it to be even cheesier than this. So you can add different types of toppings on it to just kind of liven it up and spruce it up, and maybe make it, you know, a little bit more fresher by adding some of those fresher ingredients like the green onions, avocado, things like that. But let's go ahead and take a taste. Hopefully it's not too hot. I'll blow on it a little bit. Wow, that is so good. I know it sounds kind of crazy having kind of a Mexican theme with the Mexican spices and everything, the salsa, but yet an Italian theme because of the pasta. But you really need to try this. It is so simple, so easy to make, great for a family. Like I said, Frank and I, we're gonna have this for dinner tonight, and then what I will also do is split this up into 2 separate dishes. That way we can put them in the freezer and have this for 2 other meals later on in the week, or later on in the next week or 2. I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to thank Tony once again for inviting me to join in on this collaboration of Noodle November. I enjoyed making this video, and I hope that you might try this recipe and see if this might be something that you want to start making for your family on those busy days. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe share it with your friends and your family. If you're a subscriber, Thank you for subscribing. If you're not, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Oh, and don't forget that little bell button. That'll let you know when we have another video that comes out. So until next time, have a blessed day.